Hey everyone, it's Jan with ALVAO. Welcome to our webinar. And the topic of today's webinar is IT asset management, IT service management, and how they relate to cybersecurity. And I'm pleased to be joined by Jaro Tomek, Chief Technologist at CDW UK. So we will actually split this webinar into two parts. Jaro will start by providing you some insights into how IT asset management and IT service management support your security initiatives, why they are important, and what are the risks of not having them in place. And he will also give you some overview of the most popular cybersecurity frameworks. And then I will have a demo where I will show you how ALVAO supports you in cybersecurity. So kind of showing the Yaro, welcome to the webinar. Thanks for being here with us. And I'm handing this over to yourself.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Jan. Thank you for the intro. So, as you heard, Jaro Tomek, by title Chief Technologist for Digital Enablement. My job is to continuously research the market in the areas of enterprise service management and intelligent automation, and then compare what the vendors are saying to how those technologies are actually reflected in our customers' environments, and ultimately form an opinion. So what you might see from myself is various articles, speaking at on stages at conferences, or as we see on the next slide, we also have a webinar that is called Octopod, in which you can hear us in the team of the Office of the CTO in the UK talk about the latest trends, innovations, interesting industry events, and hear our opinions on where technology is going. Today, obviously, on the webinar, the key topic is asset management and how it works as a backbone to security compliance. So you may be aware that when it comes to security and risk, often the departments are not as aligned. I'm talking specifically between IT and the sort of more business-focused GRC. And what we're seeing is that that because of that, sometimes the organizations are experiencing increased costs or are at risk of incurring extra costs. For example, if they are found to be out of compliance, or if they specifically have vulnerabilities that somebody else exploits. Those might even be related to asset management, such as an employee walking away with a laptop and still having access to the company's organizations 3 months after they have left the organization, which obviously poses quite a significant risk. It's also important that organizations take into consideration that they often lack full visibility of their assets and lack full control of those assets. And if they do not collaborate with their GRC colleagues, what might happen is when there's an actual vulnerability or an incident, they do not react swiftly enough. This obviously leads into another part. If we don't have the visibility, it's very hard for us to be compliant. And it's even harder when we have multiple third-party vendors who might have their own vulnerabilities. And even if we check those, they might be supplied they might have services supplied by other vendors themselves. So then you create this sort of an onion of various layers of security checks you should be doing as a customer of those managed services. But it's really hard to do, right? So how do you manage it? How do you utilize the proper frameworks to minimize that risk? It makes it really difficult to actually even measure it. So what you might find is when you start digging into this area, you might find various audit findings. You might find that you were at risk of compliance penalties, or somebody external might do that, in which case you might have to start paying for that. You might be breaching remediation costs. And when these informations, especially if you're a public listed company, when these informations get out there and some sort of journalist writes about it, there's also potential of damaged reputation and losing customer base. One area that is obviously key to all of service management is service quality. Typically, you have somebody in your service delivery who is not typically working very closely with, let's say, GRC professionals. So it really is key that by creating that collaboration, we stop wasting time on low priority issues and focus on what truly matters, especially from security perspective. It's also important that we drive not just the service quality, but also enable productivity across the organization. Productivity in the sense of ensuring that whatever we do enables our employees or even external customers, if we have those, to have as little frustration as possible with the services we provide, and in even better case, we are actually helping them to be more productive, to get on with their day, and if there is any sort of an outage, get back to productivity as quickly as possible. Because if we don't do that particularly well, what you might find is disengaged frontline employees, and that might be not just the employees that we serve as IT departments typically, but also the agents themselves. And a lot of the reasons why there is this disconnect between IT asset management and service management and the GRC professionals is that there's data silos, that we really are unable to effectively collaborate across these different departments. We don't encourage that collaboration, which then leads to all of these different issues listed above. What we have is common security frameworks. So obviously this webinar is meant for our North American friends. So I'll cover some of these and how they actually link to asset management. You might already be familiar with the likes of NIST, or if you work in healthcare, with HIPAA or with SOC 2. So just let me give you a viewpoint on how they link to asset management. So NIST Special Publication 839, as you see over there, provides a comprehensive framework for managing information security risk across the organization. So it basically outlines kind of a structured approach to assessing risk associated with IT assets. That's kind of how they link together. This includes evaluating and identifying various vulnerabilities and identifying the threats to these assets. When we look at SOC 2, this security framework is and compliance to it is crucial for IT asset management, as it ensures that organizations maintain robust security controls over their assets. So ultimately, it encourages organizations to implement strong security measures to protect those assets from unauthorized access or breaches. In terms of privacy, SOC 2 compliance includes measures to protect personal information, ensuring that IT assets handle data in accordance with privacy regulations. So you can probably already start seeing how ITAM is very strongly linked into the whole governance, risk and compliance area, into GRC. In terms of HIPAA, it's essential for primarily healthcare organizations and their asset management, as it mandates that these organizations protect the confidentiality of health information, right? Electronic protected health information, so the EPHI, stored in IT assets. This includes implementing safeguards to prevent unauthorized access and conducting a thorough analysis of the risk to the IT assets is part of the standard HIPAA requirement. This also helps identify potential vulnerabilities and implement appropriate safeguards. Similarly to in PCI DSS, the compliance is crucial for organizations handling payment card data. And you can imagine, obviously, the IT assets handling those payments need to be well managed. The NIST cybersecurity framework, CSF, is highly beneficial also to IT asset management, as it helps organizations to set up frameworks to respond really quickly to any incidents and recover from security incidents faster than they would previously. FedRAMP is then essential for organizations using cloud services, as it provides the standardized approach to security assessment, authorization, and continuous monitoring for cloud products and services. CSA STAR, where STAR stands for Security, Trust, Assurance, and Risk, then requires organizations to maintain a comprehensive inventory of cloud assets, ensuring all components are accounted for and managed effectively. Guess what? Big part is obviously IT asset management, right? And then when we look at SOX, so Sarbanes-Oxley Act, It's also key. There's a key link to IT asset management, particularly for organizations involved in financial reporting, because it mandates that organizations implement adequate internal controls over their financial reporting, and the IT systems that store, process, or transmit financial data must be secure and reliable. So hopefully this overview gives you quite a good idea on how these security frameworks link to IT asset management. My slide here talks about the benefits of having IT asset management, IT service management as the backbone of security compliance. So as you probably got a pretty good idea by now, enhanced visibility and control. If we do not see what's going on across our assets, and we therefore do not have the control, we therefore really struggle to respond to anything or to even understand what's happening with our assets. So the visibility is the key element here. Only then can we actually start improving our compliance by utilizing all of the different frameworks we just listed, and there's more on the market. We then help to create that efficient incident response, and even look at things like automated patching and updates. Understanding what versions of software, firmware, our different pieces of hardware have, and ensuring that they're up to date, and therefore we minimize the risk of vulnerabilities across our ecosystem. And all of these together help us also with cost management, so that people are not just walking away with various assets that we then need to replace, and we're not really sure even how many are out there. And therefore we have a quite high value leakage, a lot of money leaving the organization ultimately. Having that visibility and having decent governance and processes enables us to be ready for audits, so that our employees do not waste time when it comes to an audit. They don't waste time on providing massive reports and collating all of the different data and doing postmortems to provide auditors with what they need. Instead, they can kind of almost at a click of a button export the data the auditors need, and the employees can go back to doing their job. And of course, once we have those proper frameworks in place, we're mitigating risk all around. But as I mentioned at the beginning, it all starts with visibility. Visibility is absolutely key, and automating these full end-to-end asset management processes as possible. If you do that automation, you're reducing the pressure on your employees to do their job. And Jan will show you a little bit more about that just now.
Thanks, Sarah. That was actually really useful. And there are so many of them, but the good news is that once you cover one of them, the rest kind of, I'm not saying it's similar, but there are a lot of shared things and pieces that will actually help you with it. So anyway, I'm going to introduce you to ALVAO, ITSM, and ITAM in this next part with some practical examples how we help you with security. So ALVAO is a Microsoft-centric ITSM and ITAM solution on a single platform. It's your service desk product, asset management product. They are heavily integrated, but they are also standalone products. So some customers only have one of them, some have all of them. Anyway, you can probably appreciate that these are not security tools. So why are they important from the security standpoint? Pretty much everything that Jaro just said. So best way would be to actually demonstrate this on a live example. So let's say I'm James Smith. I'm locked. I actually parked my car at a parking lot, and I forgot my laptop there, which I shouldn't have, but it happened. And someone stole my laptop. So I'm now just kind of panicking. And from my mobile phone, I look to the portal, and I actually view my assets and report loss of an asset. Just right there, this was stolen, and frowny face that I'm sad about it, perhaps. And then I've raised a ticket with the security in this ticket. This ticket will then be managed by the IT service desk staff. So let's now switch gears, and let's say I am now an agent that's responsible for this ticket. I need to have some guidance, some process to follow. So I'm going to check the workflow, and I understand that the next stage is incident assessment. So I will move to that next stage. And I now need to understand how big of a risk it poses that James lost his laptop. So in order to do that, I need some more context. I need some more data. So I can just click on the object in here and check what was the device that he lost. I'm gonna click on that and see all the details. So now I see all the details of this laptop. I can see all the hardware configuration, software configuration. I can see all history of this laptop, and I can also see that this is being used by James, who's part of the IT department. So I'm kind of already alerted, because if James is part of the IT department, then probably he may have some elevated access. And in order to check that, I can actually see this in the full context of our organization. So I actually see that James is part of the AO5 office within IT department. And I can also see all the details that we take from Entra ID. And I can, at that same time, check James directly in Entra ID. And from that investigation, I actually realized that he really has an elevated access. He has admin rights to all kinds of systems. So his stolen laptop can be used as an access point to do all kinds of nasty stuff to us. So I'm then moving on to just work on the ticket and respond to that incident. So I'm going to move to the workflow and then do all the things that I should do in terms of the incident response, risk mitigation. So I will revoke access. I will disable his account on Entra ID. I will try to remote wipe his device, so on and so forth. But what's important there is that in order to be able to respond properly, I need to have some tool that guides me and some tool that gives me some more context. So the worst case scenario that can happen with these certifications, other than you failing them, of course, is that you do those certifications, but just on paper. So you create all those processes or those controls, but then you have difficulties actually implementing them real life. So the service desk help you to get them in your day-to-day operation easily. Service desk, exactly as Jaro mentioned, incident management, control, change management, secure onboarding, offboarding. There are so many things that you can cover with service desk. So that's your process workflow part. And asset management, that's visibility into the asset baseline, because you can't secure what you don't see. So once you actually have asset management, you track everything that company has, who's responsible for it, where is it located, so and so forth. You actually reduce the threat surface and you ensure policy at key points. Probably let's get to some further examples, and we will stick to asset a little bit more, because service desk tends to be covered in most organizations, at least to a degree. But IT asset management, there's a huge gap, even more mature companies. So thought it'd be really valuable to spend some time on that. So first thing that we will cover is the IT asset lifecycle. You want to have a process for managing your IT assets, whether it's new servers, phones, laptops, what have you. You want to be able to manage them from start to finish, from procurement to retirement. And sometimes I have customers coming to me and they're asking questions like, this is too much admin work, this is too much manual work. I just want to detect everything, discover everything, and have it automated, so that I kind of have this like continuous snapshot of the real life situation. And of course, I appreciate your concerns, because IT asset management historically used to be very manual admin work, but it's not. You don't have to worry about it. There's a lot of automation. It connects with your Entra ID, Intune, feeds from them. It connects with Power Automate. There are multiple discovery methodologies to actually help you validate things and get data. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't have a process. You always need to have a process so that you can ensure those policies at key points, and you can make sure that you are doing the right thing. And then all the automation and discovery helps you to stay on the process. And if the process is failing somewhere, you will be notified, you will know about it. So let's go to another real life example. I'm going to go back to this IT asset management part. I will search again for James here. And as you remember, we actually saw where James is located, that he's in AO5 office within IT department. So this tree structure right here is actually something that not only gives you visibility, but helps you manage the asset lifecycle, so that in key points you can do what's necessary. So let's say James gets a new laptop because like the last one was stolen. So he gets a new laptop, and now we can do what we call a handover form, which is a confirmation between you and James that yes, I got this laptop and I understand that at certain point when I'm leaving the company, someone will ask me to give it back. So it notifies James, he gets the notification on his mail and he can sign this electronically and he can access it on the portal. But what's important is that there's an audit trail. There's an audit trail and a track record that he actually signed this. And when he will be leaving the company, IT knows exactly what they need to collect from him. And this is important again for the exact reasons that Jaro mentioned in his part of the webinar. Very often it happens that people leave companies and they still have iPads, old laptops, what have you. Because if someone is in the company for 9 years, they might be on their third laptop already, and not all the time the old devices are collected, or they might go for a trade show, get an iPad and then never return it back. That happens all the time. So then they have a device that's connected to the network that has access to VPN, and they also might not have their accesses to all kinds of system revoked. So they are 3 months after leaving the company, and they still can access CRM, ERP, what have you. So this was just an example how to prevent it, but of course there's many more examples like that throughout the life cycle. So if there's a new device, you want to categorize it, you want to ensure there's antivirus on it and the software that's supposed to be there. If there's an old server and you are retiring it, you want to ensure that you erase it properly and you decommission it properly. So you have this area, the asset tree, that helps you manage the life cycle, and in connection with service desk you can also trigger processes, controls, alerting, so on and so forth. So of course, this isn't only for your physical assets and for your devices, smart assets, but you also need to track your vendors, suppliers, and contracts. So for instance, in this area, we track our contracts. And if we need to add a new contract, we just click new object and then have a template for contract, and we can just create new one. Or it can actually be triggered from service desk again, but just gonna go do it this way for brevity. And then we are enforced to fill in some mandatory fields, whether it's validity, so due date when it's valid to contract your document URL. Some of these like data are taken from the tree structure, so we don't have to we don't have to do any double work here, but only what's unique to that particular contract. And of course, what happens when you are doing this is that you get in ALVAO a single source of truth about all your assets, IT and kind of bordering assets as well. So your cybersecurity assets, your contracts, certificates, so on and so forth. So then once you have that visibility, you don't have to connect multiple dots when there's a question from an audit. And whenever there's some request for information that you need, you can just very quickly get to it. So there's tons of it, but I'm just going to give you some examples. So for instance, let's say I want to see all assets that are approaching warranty in next 60 days. So I just see that, or I want to see all certificates or SSL certificates for servers and get notifications in advance before they expire. Or I want to see just the expired certificates, so on and so forth. Or I may want to see a software because there's been some recent vulnerability discovered. So I just want to have a quick look how many instances of that particular vulnerability we have. So I can just filter it out and then get that visibility and quickly ensure proper patching, eliminate that vulnerability from our network, so on and so forth. So that's the element of the kind of ad hoc visibility, but there's much more to that, because I can, for instance, report on things such as expired warranty by device manufacturer so that we ensure our network is up to date. I can report on differences between last logon user and primary user in Intune so that we can see if assets are changing hands without us knowing. I can also report on BitLocker not being enabled on a device. So really, you have the data, and now anything that comes up, maybe Microsoft announces that they are discontinuing Windows 10, and you just can go and check how many devices you have with Windows 10, how many of them are eligible for upgrade, and done. So a little bit about it, general visibility and how easy it is to get to information once you have single source of truth. But of course, I still forgot one thing that's important, and that's the fact that some of your assets are actually constituting the general infrastructure and then relate to other assets, and then it's important to connect them into some kind of configuration management database where you can actually visualize the links and dependencies between these assets. So let's say there's a server 23. You can see associated tickets with this server, any changes or incident that happened there, and you can see how this server relates to the rest of your infrastructure. So we can see that this server 23 is hosted on physical server 1, and it supports IaaS server, which in turn supports your MS Dynamics. So if this server has an outage, it affects all these things down the line. And furthermore, we can also track this from a security standpoint, so we can actually differentiate between our primary and secondary assets. So we can see that this constitutes a primary asset, Dynamics ERP. When we click on it, we can see that there's an owner of this service, James Smith, and that it's actually supported by some other secondary assets. And when we click on it, we still can see the details. So we can see a total cybersecurity score that's calculated based on confidentiality, integrity, availability, and it can be calculated in many different ways. In this case, it's just like simple sum, and it's inherited into the secondary assets. So if we click on this subsystem, we see that it's exactly the same. And if we click on this its subset secondary asset, it's a little bit different because this asset is actually supporting multiple primary assets. So then the calculation is affected by that. So this way you can actually do a risk analysis on top of your infrastructure. Now, let's get back to that service desk again, and then we will have one final example to tie it all together, and then we will have a look into the reporting. By the way, if there's any question, feel free to write the question into the Q&A in the chat. But as we mentioned at the beginning, users have an ability to report security incident via portal. But it's not just security incident. You want to manage all different kinds of workflows. So it might be training for your employees. It might be GDPR, personal data. It might be processing NDAs or vendor management, what have you. So all of that would be covered by the service desk element. But of course, not all the incidents are actually reported by employees. Many of them are reported by your monitoring infrastructure, by your security toolset. So when that happens, and that's our final example, it raises a ticket for you. So maybe Zabbix discovered that there was a series of suspicious authentication activities. When that happens, we can see the details of the ticket, and of course it's 2025, so we have an AI assistant to help us with it. The AI assistant summarizes the incident for us, so we don't have to read through full log. We just get the kind of it, and then we check whether this has been properly categorized. It's an incident, and the category is right, so that's fine. And we check the incident major incident score, which is calculated by AI based on the CMDB and the similar incidents happening at the same time. And we can also see any past incident that are similar to this one and a calculation of how similar they are. So this will help us to quickly maybe get some inspiration from how we dealt with this the last time it happened. And then we get a suggestion from AI in terms of the possible solution. So we actually have AI recommending how we should continue and proceed. And this is just much more handy than browsing through knowledge articles and trying to find something that relates to this issue, because this is really relevant to this context and this particular issue with all the information that you have from that particular server. So just kind of the best way how to work through this. And it's all connected to your CMDB as well, so we can actually check again that this relates to our MS Exchange and that supports service for email, and that ties into this security asset, which then has this total cybersecurity score. So this way we'll have all in one place, so that we can effectively manage and respond to that incident. And we have plethora or security tools to help us do just that. But service desk and asset management are there to give us that baseline to respond. Of course, once you get these implemented, you get visibility and you get reports. So everyone loves reports. Let's spend our last couple of minutes on reports. You will be able to visualize your incident dashboards. You will be able to see how many security events you have, how many open security incidents you have, how many were open for more than 30 days, what's the average response time, how they differ by severity, by closure category, trends and everything. Same goes for your suppliers. So you are able to see what's the number of suppliers, number of key suppliers, how these change across the times, how you assess them. You'll be also able to visualize risk analysis. So you'll be able to know what's the number of primary assets, secondary assets, and then how they split between different categories, whether by category, impact, risk per action, so on and so forth. So having again that layer to learn from it, have continuous improvement, and also back yourself up whenever you are speaking with your management, leadership, or with the auditor that's just curious to see how do you do change control, how do you this or that. You just can click to ALVAO and show them this is how we do it, and it's all here. And that's really it. So we now have some space for Q&A. So I'm gonna read through those questions and answer to them. If we implemented ALVAO in our organization, we would be responsible for gathering and maintaining the data. So that's a good question because very often there's some kind of fear that this is going to be too much manual, too much admin work, but ALVAO is actually integrated heavily into Microsoft ecosystems, so Entra ID, Intune, and then it has also like multiple ways how to make your life easier in terms of like eliminating double work, no code automation, so on and so forth. So whilst the responsibility will be with you, ALVAO as a tool will help you quite a lot to make your life easy. Will you email meeting attendees a link to the recording? Absolutely, Jeff. I should have mentioned it at the beginning. You will get the link. To what extent is the asset management automated? Very automated. So there's like a couple of things, but first, if you need to onboard those assets physically, this is not an automation, but something that will make your life easy. Is that we have a mobile app, so you can just take your mobile phone, scan those QR codes, barcodes, and batch import those boxes. Or we can just import it from your supplier portal. We can upload it from a CSV, and then we start gathering information automatically from various sources. Our agent, SNMP, IP range. We connect to hardware vendor portals. We connect through Intune. If the device changes owner in Intune, it's automatically moved in ALVAO. If the user changes department or location in Entra ID, he or she is automatically moved in ALVAO. So really, there are a lot of ways, and we put a lot of effort into thinking how we can make your life easier because we know that nobody likes admin work. Is it possible to track non-IT assets as well? You can track anything. So typically, IT is the heaviest user of ALVAO, but then it's usually used by other departments. Facilities, they track like really anything. We have companies that track desks, they track all other equipment, and then the kind of spatial awareness of where everything is quite important. We have companies that track first aid kits, that track heavy machinery, and you can track any due dates. So you can actually track for anything that needs to go through like regular maintenance, so on and so forth. So it's quite a flexible system in terms of objects, properties. How does ALVAO integrate with security solutions? There are two main ways. The first, typically we are receiving events from security solutions, and these events create tickets in ALVAO, then that actually are responded to by the support team. And then also we can call from ALVAO security solution. So maybe you can call a security solution from asset management and feed into it information of a device, ID, IP address, what have you. So that's the other part. Can we deploy ITAM as a standalone solution? Does it integrate with other systems? Absolutely. So as I mentioned, a lot of our customers, actually majority of them has ALVAO asset management and service desk on a single platform, but we have also a lot of customers that have just one of them. And asset management is very popular even in that small enterprise segment. So you can integrate it with your ServiceNow, Fresh Service, what have you, and take advantage of the solution that you already have in place, combined with the power of our asset management. What percentage of your customers utilize IT? So, as I said, about 70% of our customers have service desk and asset management, and then the rest of them, it's like 50-50. So that would get you 80% of our customers using IT asset management. And that's it. So unless there's any other question or anything else, thank you very much for your attention. If you liked what you saw, please feel free to book a personalized demo, connect with myself, connect with Yaro. We always love to expand our network and get in touch with as many people in the community as possible. And thank you, Yaro, so much for being here with us on the webinar and sharing your insights.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, everyone.